Hi again. Well, this is episode 2. My name is Dick Gail, and I am a jazz musician, and have been for over 50 years. So this is part 2. Let's see where I was when I left off. Oh yes, being escorted to the state line with Shotgun Kelly and the band. I had some news several years ago about Shotgun. Shotgun, and I've Googled him a bunch of times, couldn't find anything about it. If anybody does know anything about it, I'd really appreciate it if you get back to me on this. But I heard that Shotgun Kelly was beheaded in an accident about 10 or 15 years ago. So I'm sorry to hear that. I loved him. I really loved him. So I went back to Boston and brought all my clothes, went back into the house, worked with my dad in the daytime in his little shop repairing furniture, and went back to playing my drums and hammering away, trying to get ready for this next journey, this road trip that was coming, that I knew was coming. And that's the way I looked at it. When I was home playing and practicing, I was getting ready to play my way out onto the national scene. So I was willing to do whatever it took. Usually I practice between 2 and 4 or 5 hours a day, every day if I could. Going back to Boston, I went right back into that same scene, the combat zone, except this time I went into a place called Jerome's. And Jerome's has a special place in my heart, because Jerome's was mob owned and let it be known. Everybody knew it that worked in there, and all you had to do was just go in and play. Mind your own business, don't say too much, keep your mouth shut, play. And since I wasn't doing drugs or anything, I didn't have to worry about being involved in any way or anything like that. So I went in and sat in with the band, and they had a great guitar player by the name of Kenny Paulson, and a bass player, electric guitar player, electric bass player named Frankie Diamond. And you have to excuse me, sometimes I'm not going to be able to remember these names, but right now I do. And Kenny was great. It was a real rockin' guitar power trio, kind of like Jimi Hendrix, because he played rock and roll, and he played swing, and he played kind of like boogie woogie guitar almost. So he was a house rocker, and the place was always packed. So I went in and sat in with them one Saturday afternoon, and they offered me a job, and I took it. And I was going to open up on a Friday night. So that Friday night, I got all dressed up. I brought my drums in early, about 7 o'clock, sat them up on stage. We'd had a rehearsal in the afternoon. I was so excited. We played the first set. The place was half-ass crowded. We were getting ready for the place to be packed Friday night. We took a break for the first set. I went back into the dressing room, and we were talking, whoever was trying to get a bottle to have something to drink, or going out and talking to some girls out front. But at that time, I happened to be in the dressing room in the back, and I'm not sure if there was somebody with me or if I was all by myself, but I was busy doing something, and I turned around, and there was a real short guy, white guy, tan guy, standing there, and a brother standing behind him, big cat. And the Italian guy who had stepped through the door, and the door was still halfway open, and the brother was standing behind him, said to me, "You the drummer?" And I said, "Yeah." And he walked up to me and hit me as hard as I've ever been hit in my whole life. And I fell on the floor and don't remember much until there were a bunch of people starting to come in the dressing room, and I had blood all over me. And I got up, and now Kenny Paulson was in there, and Frankie was in there, and I was sitting down, and they had some white towels, and they were wiping my face, and I was covered with blood. And what happened? What happened? I don't know. I didn't know them. I never saw them before. And everybody wanted to know what happened. I didn't know what happened. So by the time I wiped all the blood off, I was okay. I was just real sore. And half of my face was numb about in here, which it kind of still is. And that was over 50 years ago. Come to find out, he had a roll of quarters in his hand, all rolled up. And the guy standing behind him had a gun in each hand that the people saw. And so I went down to the club the next day to speak to the manager. Both of my eyes were black, and I thought my nose had been broken, because half of my face in here was all numb down to here, all the way down to my lip, top of my lip. So they said, I'm just going to call a name. They said the guy that hit you was a guy named Augie Pisano, and he owns a nightclub in Roxbury. And Roxbury was even tougher at that time than the combat zone where I was working. And Roxbury was like Harlem, and they always said to anybody that wasn't from there, don't go in there. So of course I wanted to go and see this guy. So I found out where his bar, he owned a bar, and I went to see him. And I walked in and asked for him behind the bar, and they went somewhere and got him, and he came back in. And he came up to me, and we sat down at the table, and he said to me, I'm very sorry. He said, I've had this girl, and I've been screwing her for 10 years, he said, and I give her a lot of money. And I pay for her apartment, I bought her a brand new car, and she was having sex with this drummer that worked in Jerome's. And he was a little Italian cat with curly hair and a big nose, and short. He said, and I walked in, I asked you if you were the drummer, and you said yeah, and I thought it was him. I didn't know they left on Thursday. He said, and that's why I hit you. So I said to him, I'm glad you didn't shoot me. So he says, yeah, I am too. He says, but I want to give you something for what was done to you, and he gave me $2,000. And he said, here, I hope this will take care of everything. And it never did, because my face is, I've always had that numb patch right here. So, on to the next story.